As many of you art and crafters out there know that Creativation is going on right now, where they meet up in, I think it's Arizona this year, and showcase a lot of the new products that are coming out so that people can pick these items up to put in their stores and sell to their customers. And one of the things that I've seen being shown in some of the videos is a journal from Dina Wakley, and it has burlap, canvas, cotton rag, watercolor paper, and craft in it. And I really like the idea of this book, but I thought I have a lot of those things in my insane paper stash, and I could make my own. So that's what I'm going to do. This is a roll of canvas. I have quite a few brown paper bags that I can cut down. I've got an assortment of textured wallpapers. In fact, I have 2 rolls of this stuff that I acquired back when I started a class with Donna Downey. And this stuff's real fun to use in all of your projects if you need some kind of a texture. And then I have, at one point, I purchased a couple of wallpaper collection books. You can get these free and or really cheap from many different places. So in the past I had already cut down all the wallpaper so I could stow it away, and these also have some fun textures on many of them and really interesting colors. This one's silver, obviously. Here's kind of a copper one, another one. These ones have some interesting textures on them. So I'm going to use all of these interesting papers that I have in my stash of stuff to create my own version of a Dina Wakley media journal, because I figure, why buy when I have all these different papers that I can make one for myself. And I might make a couple different sizes. I haven't completely decided for sure what size I'm going to end up with. I think what would be best is trying to maintain at least this size here, which is about 8.5 by, I do believe, almost 12. It's like 11.75 or 11 something. And the reason why I'm saying that is because that is actually the same size as the brown paper bag when you fold it in half, and you can get, I'm going to cut this portion off, and that will at least create the page. So for using these ones in here, I can't really bind it in like I normally would with the string in the crease. What I'm going to have to do is this other fancy trick that myself and some of the other ladies in one of my Facebook message chat groups figured out, is you can use the Tyvek as your hinge between the papers. So this is a Tyvek envelope that I've cut into strips. So I'm going to separate it here and make it long enough for the paper, but you adhere it to each of the 2 papers you need to have in there, like this, and it will create your hinge system. And because you can't actually tear this, this stuff is fantastic if you need something really strong to support, but it works great in your spine of your items to create extra strength. So I'm going to use that. And then I also have a roll of, I don't remember what it's called right offhand, but I've shown it in some other videos. It's tape that you have to moisten to activate the adhesive, and it's got strings that run through it. You find it on a lot of your shipping packages. They put it over it, so when someone wants to try to get into your package, you can tell it's been tampered with because all the strings have been cut or ripped. And it is also a very sturdy item. So what I'm going to do off camera is cut up all these different papers to the correct sizes that I need, figure out which ones I want for sure, and then I will come back and show you my next steps, which is going to be adding in probably the Tyvek strips into whichever ones need to be joined together. So see you soon. So I've gone through my stash and I've gotten these 3 signatures set up here, and I'm just going to give you a quick flip through the first one. We have a bit of canvas, some textured wallpaper. This is just some kind of random pattern wallpaper I have, and then there's another piece. Things like this is what I'm going to be using the Tyvek and that special tape I mentioned to attach together, and we'll show you that here in a moment. a couple pieces of those, a piece of watercolor paper, and there's another one back here, so those two need to be attached together. And then we have some of this manila kind of drawing paper, 2 grocery bags, panels, that's the drawing paper, and then that repeats the drawing paper and the grocery bags, and then the watercolor paper. So, oh, and also 4 sheets of braille paper. And these need to be connected together as well, and they will be encasing the textured wallpaper there. So I'll just show you real quick the patterned wallpaper for this next section. And I got these, I believe, on eBay, and I don't remember what they cost, but you can go there and look for watercolor paper, not watercolor paper, I'm sorry, wallpaper sample books. A lot of people manage to get a hold of them and put them on eBay to buy. And you can probably check any of your local stores that you can buy wallpaper at and see if they have old sample books that are getting rid of that you can ask for. And then here's the last 2 pieces of paper I'm going to put in the last signature. Alright, so let's go back to the first signature. Set these other ones to the side for now. Now, this is that tape, and I'll have to look it up and figure out what it's called, but it's normally about that wide. Let me find my roll. Okay, this is the roll. It's got these fibers that run through the tape so that it can't just be opened on the packaging in shipment without you noticing something's been messed with. And you can get this huge roll, I think was 15, 20 bucks, maybe. I'll have to look again. This lasts a long, long time. So as far as how it costs compared to other tapes you might be buying for your projects, it's a bit more, but you're going to get a lot of use out of it. This is excellent for binding reinforcement. So I just cut off a few strips of that and cut them in half here to get 2 smaller pieces. And then I have my Tyvek envelope parts, which I need to cut in half. Where did my scissors go? Alright, so this is where it loops around to make the envelope. We're just going to remove that little piece there. And this gives us a nice portion to use for reinforcement. And I may or may not be using these, but I've got some ready just in case. This is my primary strengthening part at the moment. So we have these pieces of braille paper that need to be connected together, so we'll start with them. And there's 4 of those. These I also got off of eBay. There's lots. This was a syllabus for college, for courses. Now what you're going to want to do here is you need to make sure you give yourself a little bit of gap for, you know, the folding purposes around the other items in the signature, depending on where you've positioned them. And this is a water reactive, or activated, I'm sorry, adhesive on these tapes, so you need to wet that with a sponge, or I like to use this little spray bottle. Just get a little spritz down there, let it sit for a couple seconds, bring it over and add on your paper, like so. It's already really sticky, and you can line up your other one where you want it, kind of get it even like so. And there you go. Now that will dry pretty quickly, and then you can come back through and trim off those extra bits. So I'm going to do this exact same process to all the different papers that I have that are in 2 pieces like this that need to be connected to create pages for the signature. And once I've done that, I will come back and we will discuss how we're going to bind it together. Alright, now I have all the separate pieces connected together with that tape. And now comes time to poke holes in the spine area so I can do some stitch work to create the signatures. And what I have here is a roll of plain white hemp twine, and one strand seemed a bit thick, so I've divided it down into the 3 pieces that it originally is. It gets a little bit thinner string. And then I have this contraption that I got some chipboard triangle type shapes for a banner, and it had all this extra cardboard left over, and I fashioned myself this device to use for setting signatures into, and then you can poke the holes. So what I need to do is line these up as best as I would like as far as being even. I think it's most important here with this piece of canvas. And it's going to go in this device like so, and we'll find the center, which I do believe is this paper bag. It is. And going through this many layers is probably going to be pretty difficult. So I think I will reduce how many I have. Let's do about 4, I suppose. Depending on what kind of paper you're using. Obviously this may be easier or more difficult. And let's see, let's turn it this way. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Let's see, measure here. That way when we're putting the other signatures in, we can get a good measurement. So I'm going to go 3 inches in from the edge. I just got my 3-inch mark here at the edge of the paper. And I'm going to use my pokey tool down through the hole there. Alright, make sure you get through all the layers. And then do the same over here. Make sure you keep your stuff from shifting on you. And measuring 3 inches out from the corner, from the edge, sorry. There. And adding a poke from that part. Alright, so we've got 3-inch and 3-inch. I am also going to do a secondary hole from each side. Add 1 inch from the previous location. Just because I think more than one stitch through here might be better than just having it one large one through the center. So I'm going to go from 2 inches from the edge now and poke a hole in. So what that's done is in here I have 2 holes that are 1 inch apart, and then I'm going to have the same thing on the other side. Alright, carefully take that out. And then do the same to this piece. Now if you wanted to have several stitches all the way up and down your signature, obviously you can add more holes. If you only want one large loop throughout your whole side piece there, then just do the two holes, one from each side. You're going to want even number of holes though, because as you add your string or other, maybe you want to use ribbon, into those holes to tie the signatures together, it needs to be able to loop back around and meet itself, and you won't be able to accomplish that with an odd number of holes. Alright, so I've got those there and there. And now comes the fun part. Got to match these two sides together with the holes so that you can get the whole signature sewn back together as one. Okay, set that to the side for a sec. And I'm just going to check here with my tool to see if I've got all the pieces together. Just kind of get a little bit of a wiggle. You might have to like open it back up and feed it through each of the individual holes to make sure you've got it lined up well. And then the canvas. Okay, so now that I've got that, so I've got my tool poked all the way through, and you're going to want to use a pretty heavy-duty needle when sewing signatures in large books like this, because the little ones, for one, won't hold the large twine, and then secondly, it's really easy to snap them off while you're doing this. Alright, so I got that lined up pretty decent. Let's see if we can get through this one all right. And there we go. Lined up really well. So I've got my pokey tool, and then there's my needle through the second set of holes that I made. And one thing that's really easy to do also on this is to accidentally pull your thread all the way through. Depending on whether you want your end pieces hanging on the outside or on the inside, you'll want to start, if you want them on the inside, start from the inside. If you want them on the outside, start from the outside, because as you come back through, that's going to create your plain or knotted edge. And I think I'm going to go with the knot being on the outside, because I'm going to put something on the edge of the spine when I'm done to hold all three of these signatures together. And I think it would be easier to art on the inside if it doesn't have a knot. Alright, so I got to go back through all these little holes again real quick. Alright. Now with these pieces hanging out, you can also add, you know, beads, charms, you know, whatever fun stuff you want on the outside of any of your books that you're making. I am just going to tie it off. Using a square knot is going to be a good idea. That way it won't untie itself. Careful as you pull tight on these knots as well, because you can rip through all of your pages, depending on the strength of the paper. If you're using like old papers from ledgers or something like that, it's going to make it really easy to rip through them just by trying to tighten your knot. So there we go. I got it tied on there. I've got some string bits I can leave on for now until I decide for sure if I want to add anything. And then here's what it looks like on the inside. I just got this 1-inch piece of thread here on the middle thread, or middle section. And then I'm going to continue on doing the rest of these on all three signatures, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about how I want to do this portion to connect all three sections together to make a large book. So we'll see you when I come back. Alright, so here we are. We've got the three signatures sewn together like so. And I'm going to be using this cover, but I've tried a couple different ways of binding it on, and neither one is working the way I would like. I attempted to do lacing through the holes that are already here, and then including that in this with this kind of ribbon. Looks like it says Myro trim, but it wouldn't line up the way I liked. Kept having the signatures sag out the side like this. So I'm going to keep thinking about how I want to finish that off, but that will be the cover because it's just the right size, and I just got to sort out how that's going to work for me. So, thanks for watching the video and seeing how I put together this media journal. I hope you like the video, and if you're not already a subscriber, you can hit that subscribe button down below, and please like, share, and watch some more videos. Stay tuned for more. Thanks. Bye.